Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. I'm happy to introduce to you the red Zerg in the bottom right of Grozvin. I give you the human Zergling. It's Dong Ray Gu, better known and easier known as DRG. Up against the best player from the United States of America, one of the best Protoss in the world, currently fighting in Korea in the GSL alongside DRG. It's Astrea. We got a best of 3 PVZ. I've been loving DRG's games lately, specifically because he gives us a show. Now that show is a whole lot of Zerglings being slaughtered repeatedly, but a show nonetheless. Hopefully a show that you enjoy, a show that you may even like and potentially subscribe to. Yes, Jimmy, what are we? 1,089 likes. We barely made it yesterday, but I'm sure we can do it tomorrow. But 1,089 likes. I'll cast another series, and I'll probably do it anyways. As with classic players, with like DRG and classic, playing against relative newcomers like Astrea. It's been a little while since with my rose-colored glasses, I look back to when I was pretty solidly Grandmaster on North America, as was Astrea, and we played. And the fact that I could match with him tells you how many steps up he's taken, not just of the ladder, just in general. But he was never he was a solid top-tier player, but he put the work in, he put the effort in. He's ground his way all the way up towards the very top. Had some great results. I mean, he qualified for GSL, which is no small feat. A lot of top players attempt it. Some get knocked out immediately. Others make it even more dramatic. But Astrea, you got to give him some respect either way. DRG, on the other hand, also deserves respect for his history in StarCraft 2. But it does kind of feel like he's been in stasis. He did have his mandatory military service. He's kind of locked into that style of play that is so entertaining to watch, but also from when DRG was considered one of the best Zergs. Probably like end of Wings of Liberty, maybe some Heart of the Swarm. I remember watching DRG versus Lena at MLG. I want to say Providence. One of the first tournaments I personally ever went to. And I believe it was DRG who won. No spoilers, but... and he did it with a ridiculous mass Zergling play. And he's been coasting on that. Not so much coasting, but he's been relying on those ever since. He will add in, potentially, some Vipers, some Hive Tech. And I don't think this is going to be a particularly short series, as Astrea has shown a tendency towards relative late game. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Winter, talk about the game! There were oracles, he made Zerglings, he tried to come across the map, now he's going Forge +1 and blank. These are all things worth noting, and these are all things that we've seen pretty much every single Zerg versus Protoss. Honestly, the triple oracle into blink +1 with, on the other side, +1 melee Zerglings and a Roachhorn. So far, we could have found this cookie cutter standard straight off the hero versus dark assembly line. But where do we see the split? First, DRG does not have a Baneling nest. He's making... they both have a nice amount of workers right now, but Astrea is headed towards the Templar Archives, whereas DRG already has an infestation pit on the way. I mean, there's a chance that is for infestors. There's a dream it's for swarm hosts. There's a hope it's for ultras. And there's almost a guarantee it's for hive. Whereas Astrea, he's got immortals popping out. Hydralisk Den is on the way for DRG, which shows us a bit of his trajectory here. I think maybe Lurkers might be joining the roster. Oh my god. Oh, Astrea just took his macro turn. He decided to fill in some of those upgrades. Those upgrades being +2 ground attack, psionic storm, and charge. With now DRG, a hive, 18 Zerg. Where's the Bane nest, DRG? When I said he loves his Zerglings, I kind of meant Lings and Banes, but so far, just Zerglings and now the first couple Hydras on the way out. Lurker Den in production. We'll finish a little bit after the hive. But Astrea is content to sit back. I'm sure he's played and seen DRG before. He's going to let him kind of fall onto the storms, if possible, and from there work his way forward. A handful of stalkers. A few charge lots, well, soon to be. Actually, not that soon to be. Charge lots. Out on the map, the oracles escorting them, making sure the Zerglings will have a really tough time trading anywhere remotely close to efficiently against those stalkers. The immortals don't need to be out here, but DRG knows that the oracles aren't far away. So, the Zerglings just kind of have the run of the place while Astrea sets up his bases. There's already 77 Zerglings on the map. Adrenal glands. A like 8.5 minutes starting it. Not the quickest hive we've ever seen, but certainly not a slow one. Definitely on the faster side, just like those Zerglings would creep halfway across the map. I gotta point out again, no Bane nest at all. The +2 Banelings aren't even factored in. Just entirely Zergling based is DRG right now. With Hydralists for lurkers, potentially. How many? He built 6 lurkers. I take it. Okay. He's got some lurkers in there. Though usually you want Banelings just to complement your army. Oracles come in, finding a lot of kills. Astrea with some great Oracle micro. At this relatively late state, knocks DRG back down to 72. Which is not a particularly healthy number for a Hive Tech Zerg. The charge lots are completed. Plenty of them warped in. Astrea's tucked into his base, the gateways, so all good right up until the lurkers show up and your probes are pinned back into your base. The Zergling count, he doesn't care about adrenal glands. There's already so many Lings. He's gonna care maybe a little bit now, as Storm is complete. Astrea needs to find an angle to deal with this as the lurkers are already slicing their way through. Storm evaporates some of the first Zerglings. Revelation, yep, those are lurkers, but what are you gonna do about it? Another set of storms starting to work their way through the lurkers. It does not stack. He's chipping into the armor right now. Yeah, spells don't. Lurkers are pretty tanky units for what they are. The immortals trying to work their way forward. The Zerglings have been thinned out. But another set of reinforcements as DRG slices through the Nexus. Gets 16 probes with it. Astrea, his army, for the most part, still intact. He's still got the core of it here. He's got the Immortals. He's got the Templar. He kept the Oracles alive. But what counter damage was done? What did he accomplish on the other side of the map? DRG killed 1,400 gas, similar amount of minerals. So overall, DRG just ends up... Oh, Astrea taking the potential for Zerg. He's got Templar and cannons set up. The defenses across the line. DRG, still no Baneling nest. Just full-on Zergling lurker here. Straight out of Brood War. He's reverting. He's going back further in time. It's not even Wings of Liberty. We had Banelings and Wings of Liberty. We had Infestors. In the Brood War, though, Adrenal Glands, Zerglings, Lurkers, it's a Brood War challenge from DRG. And so far, he's succeeding, and Astrea is struggling to even hold on to his bases. There's not a Warp Prism. He started +1 air weapons, which indicates, of course, he wants to go for air. But, there we are. The Fleet Beacon. As well as the second Stargate. So carriers, likely the direction we're headed. But Astrea needs to maintain a... Oh, that's a lot of lurkers. Well, some of them getting whittled down. Evaporated by the storms. The Maelstrom working their way through. The Zerglings! Oh, cannot weather it nearly as easily. Templar count still so high. Astrea incredibly patient for the scenario. The fleet beacon's about to complete. +1 air, as well as +1 shields as well. Alright. Immortals blasting through the remaining lurkers as the Zerglings were either washed away by the storms or but just generally not here. That you don't want to leave the lurkers on their own. The Immortals finally find a fight they can win. They've been standing by, hemming and hawing throughout this entire game, and finally they pick a battle against the lurkers. Is that a Tempest in production? Now, carriers are a rich man's unit. Carriers, you have to pay for the interceptors. They're relatively expensive themselves, even before you factor in the interceptor cost. But Tempests, while they're guaranteed damage, they're not particularly much of it. There's something that can dislodge the lurkers, but with Hydras on the field. Now the question will be, what Brood War unit can DRG make that will deal with the Tempests? Are we calling Corruptors Devourers? Is that fair? I don't know. Okay, Vipers. All right, never mind. Just he's gonna build Vipers. I believe he's realized. I don't know if he saw the Tempest or realized at this point that at some point he has to build something with an energy bar. Begrudgingly will do so. Takes out the War Prism with a vengeance as he brings his units back across the map. Very unfortunate for Astrea losing that Prism. The well-placed observer in the middle of the map will see the lurkers maneuvering around. So being able to keep track of those lurkers is half the battle. The other half the battle is the actual battle. That's the tough part. But knowing which direction the lurkers are headed and setting up for it means you can definitely take a better fight. There are 17 lurkers on the field, taking up most of a screen right now. DRG just does not care. The storms all over everything. But the lurkers, they're just eating them right now and asking for seconds, and technically it takes thirds before you can actually kill them. It takes at least 3 storms, and that's assuming you hit with everything. Another Nexus will be eviscerated by the lurkers. Hydra's Lynx and even a Predator drone is here. As DRG just boxed everything and headed out. The Tempest laying into him as well. Some more lurkers will go down, but well, another thing I love about DRG is how late the Carapace upgrades are. He will get armor upgrades for his units, but to say they're an afterthought is quite an exaggeration. He's getting +2 ranged. He's already got +3 melee, and +1 Carapace is also there. That's truly how it feels with DRG. If he has no other buttons to press, then maybe he'll think about armor for his units. Armor doesn't protect you from Storm, and it doesn't matter too much against the Tempest, so at the end of the day, even though he doesn't have Banelings, who needs armor when you could just build more units? Well, the Viper's looking for an opportunity. The Tempest chipping away at him. The Storm's all over the Hydras, though. The anti-air simply isn't there. What are you gonna do, abduct? What's the plan? Feedback? Abduct into what? Hydralisks. Astrea holding the line. DRG's impatience getting the better of him right now. And suddenly, Astrea knows DRG way too well. DRG so far, it's not too bad. He's only lost 4,000 more minerals and 2,500 more gas. But that last fight, definitely, yeah, oh my god. Over twice as much gas. And several thousand more minerals. Astrea more efficient for probably the first significant victory in this game. And now the Death Ball might not be perfectly accurate here, though the units do need to stick together in order to be most effective. It is still a tough army to manage, and that's why he's called the Battle Mage, is he has a tendency, in much the same way DRG doesn't use spellcasters, Astrea has an almost over-reliance on them, as between the Oracles and the Templar here, the Tempests are great, but without Storms to back them up, and maybe a few Archons, but truly the Storms are the meaningful part right now. Without Storms to back them up, the Zerg would just swarm all over them. especially considering we now have not one but two Spires. DRG Inspire to take to the skies and fight Astrea directly. But the Tempest count is remarkably high. 8 Tempests. I'm not sure how many Tempests with +1 or +2 air weapons it takes to one-shot a Lurker. No, this is probably my best opportunity to learn that number. I'll say 8. 8 sounds right. They don't do particularly much damage to non-massive ground in general. They're only good against massive units, which, like Thors, Brood Lords, your mother, you know, just generally, that's their specific niche. Carriers, if we ever get that far into PvP. The Lurkers, though, they might look a little, they just have a low base of gravity. In fact, it's underground. Okay. Like dwarves. Pretty much. I can't even tell the difference. Oh. The Tempests are just sieging their way through. I'm sorry, I'm too busy thinking of Dwarfcraft as opposed to Starcraft here, as the Stargate units are making all the difference. You know, I've criticized so many Protoss in the past for building carriers and then running out of money. And here's Astrea building Tempest, and I'm not giving him the credit that I think is due. The Tempest, big if, but if you can maintain them. DRG just, the Lurkers aren't it anymore. The Lurker count has dwindled. Where once there were dozens. He has 7 left. He's lost 39 Lurkers. And however many hundreds more. Over almost double the gas. Still no Baneling Nest, by the way. No Ultra Cavern. Nothing to really close the distance on the Templar. Brood Lords might be it. The Hydras, still wishing they brought their umbrellas today. Storm softened them up quite nicely. How many Templar are left? There's still 8 Templar on the field. Tempest, oh, get over here! Gets 1, 2, 3. And the Storms return the favor, but... well, the Storms are incredible. A Category 5 Protoss here, but DRG just does it. He's building more Hydras. He's building more Vipers. He just built a bunch more Zerglings. And Astrea's building Tempests. I mean, how much more has he mined? DRG's mined 8,000 more minerals, which is about how many he's like, you know, it's about even on that. The Storm's trying to save the Nexus, but the Zerglings rip it to pieces. +3 Carapace finally starts as 1-1 air finishes. DRG is going to have, well, DRG is lining up a massive, I would say he's lining up a massive air switch, but that would require minerals and gas, which he just spent on a bunch more Lurkers. Couple Lurkers try to get by, but guess what? Storm washes them out. Another set. I don't know if it was just the Storms over here that had to do it, but Astrea down to 69 probes, which is nice enough for his purposes. DRG almost consumed... Wait, I don't know how much of that was Vipers and how much was Zealots, but I think most of that's on the Vipers. You know, there's so many other buildings. It's like, no. Vipers only like premium hive consumption, all right? None of that diet building. None of that mined out extractor. No, we consume the hive. I'm pretty convinced that was like 80% Vipers. The Zealots may have gotten it on tap. No. That was Vipers. So needy. Vipers are the kind of people who would take the last beer. And the first one, all right? And most of the rest, honestly. I mean, it's called consumption. So they come to your house, abduct your family, and then drink all your beer. Okay, and then they'd have energy for more. Well, speaking of energy, yanks in several Tempests. Astrea loses 20 probes. The Storms are absolutely devastating. But the Swarm seems to be numbered, like, how many can he lose? It's not about how many Hydras, or Lurkers, or Zerglings, or even Vipers you lose. It's about how many you can replace. How do you lose 100 Hydralisks? Okay, Astrea's lost 31 Templar, which is also very impressive. DRG is no Baneling challenge. Will continue. The stasis protects the Zerglings from the storm. Astrea trying to find some Archons. But there's just too many. We gotta get out. They're coming. The Tempests just don't do enough damage. DRG has been mining with 90 drones off of... Oh god. Well, that income tab tells a story. If you're wondering why DRG can afford this, well, let's see. DRG has had double Astrea's income for most of 10 minutes. A recall. Gonna try to save a base. But it feels like he's been fighting a losing battle for quite a while. This is like that campaign mission. Or a glorious battle, Astrea. But, yes, foreshadowing for the future. Alright. Yeah, somebody will remember. I never understood that part. Like, how will people, if the universe ends, how would anyone remember the Protoss dying? Don't worry about it, alright? Well, DRG certainly has had enough. Right. He's getting 2-2 air. He has yet to build a single Spire unit. Maybe at some point... I guess, well, it's kind of unnecessary. He just continues shredding. Get some more Tempest. Feedbacks on some of the... Get back over here. Yanks it out of the sky. Hydra's hit it on the way by. And DRG is just overwhelming Astrea. They attempted Tempest, but getting 1 or 2 Hydras with each volley. DRG is replacing Hydras faster than if the Tempest just had free range on them. 70 more Zerglings in the production tab. DRG just overrunning the field. Astrea is running out of literal real estate and is retreating into the corner of the map. Oh, a campaign level Zerg game here from DRG. And Astrea just never really found. At no point did that army come across the map. Yes, maybe there was a couple oracles or a warp prism, but never could Astrea bring it together. So DRG just overruns them in game 1. 600 Zerglings, 135 Hydralists, 54 Lurkers, and 0 Fox. Because DRG, he lost 6,000 more minerals and gas, but he had plenty more where that came from. Wow. Huh. And this is why, like, well, in my opinion, in my humble and completely unbiased opinion, that is the most fun style of Zerg. The just waves upon waves of Zerglings and Hydras, and, you know, sometimes Banelings, if you're feeling like it. Occasionally Lurkers, but, well, personally, I love Mutas. And DRG does as well, but Mutas are just too fragile. They just don't get enough done. So Hydras, not a bad secondary list. Ultras and Mutas are kind of on the back burner right now, but Hydras are still strong in their role. Alright. Well, that was a rough one for Astrea. I thought the problem is that when you have Templar and Tempest, it feels like your army's pretty temporary. As both of those units, some of the most brittle in the Protoss army, which is not particularly... Immortals, Archons, and Charge Lots are your mainstay units. Problem is all of those struggle with Lurkers and Vipers. So you need something a little bit more... with either more splash damage or more range. I think there was something to the Tempest, but not enough. Maybe some Colossi. No matter how, if they have 9 or 10 range, Bobby, please fix that so we can get back to complaining about Protoss properly. But it doesn't matter too much when the lurkers are able to match it. I don't know what the profile portrait here of DRG is, but I noticed it last game when we were doing the fancy intros, and I didn't know how to bring it up, and I still don't, but I'm noticing it again, so I thought I might as well point. So I believe that is, it reminds me of a Korean caster, maybe. It has to be. I don't know what's going on there. Team Abydos. Yeah, but I don't think that's their logo. And if it is, then it was DRG on Team Smurf? I don't know. Well, speaking of shades of blue, Astrea's first adept. So if you're Astrea, it was Gresvin. That is the macro map. It's hard to compete with the Zerg who's able to get 5 bases, mostly unpressured. Yeah, that's on you for not pressuring, but at the end of the day, well, what do we see this time? I wouldn't be surprised if Astrea goes for the 3 oracles into Blanken +1. I don't think it was really the execution there that was the issue. Maybe too fast on the tempo. We're not here to coach. I'm here to commentate. Well, it depends, all right? If I want to sound fancy, I say commentator. If I want to sound accurate, you say caster. What's the difference? Depends on which one pays more, really. Well, you see, a commentator provides analytical analysis, which is almost as stupid as it sounds, but they phrase things in such a way that it sounds like their words can be trusted. And that's very important. Whereas a caster provides a near real-time vocal recollection that allows you to visualize when you're kind of zoning out on your phone and not really paying attention, or maybe half asleep. Wake up! And you can get the play-by-play. Oracles doing their weird mating dance while waiting for the Zerglings to dive in and try to swarm the adepts, and then leaving moments later, allowing the Zerglings to come in, but the probe knocking off the mineral line well enough. The Zerglings won't even try. And now the Oracle's sliding by. Hit 5, almost 6 drones. Gonna have to go back to a Terran repair shop after that. They'll invent repairing their units right after they invent doors. So at this rate, never. Third Oracle, back at home. Just keeping watch on the Nexus. +1 melee for DRG is the least surprising thing. The only surprising thing would be if he gets Carapace before +3. Overlord, going to be chased down by a couple stalkers. There's a blink, but wait. There you go. All right, +1. Right on the way. Four gases. Mutas? DRG doesn't strike me as a knight. Wait, did he add 4 or 3? No, 5! I'm thinking Mutas. As you don't need remotely that much gas. You want to go Nidus? You want to go even Hydras? No. DRG, he might be stuck in the past, but it's my favorite version of it. There's no way he's getting 5 gases just for roaches. Right? He doesn't even have a Bane Nest. It has to be Mutus. Build the Spire. Don't leave us. Don't leave yourself waiting. The suspense. Well, 7 drones die. Astrea now has 70 workers to 58. Infestation pit on the way. You know, Astrea's actually both keeping track of all the potential scouting information as well as keeping track of the economy. DRG, he has so much gas in the bank. I have to believe he wanted to go mutas, but Astrea's been so diligently scouting. Yeah, otherwise there's no reason. Why would you have 700 gas? I say as Astrea with 750, but of course Protoss can warp in near instantaneous. Several Templar and make up for it. DRG finds a relatively unprotected 4th Nexus. And Astrea, well, forced to cancel. The Zerglings with +1, +2 melee on the way. Lurker den begins. He'll settle on lurkers. I bet he really wanted to go mutas, but it was just gonna be too hard to get away with. You can't really pull mutas on someone who has oracles in your base, because if they scout it, well, the oracles come out of the Stargate, which can also build phoenixes. So at the end of the day, the phoenix is a pretty hard counter to the mutas, making it very difficult to get away with it early. So lurkers it is. Gonna have to fall back to one of the best units in the match. Still no banelings. The Templar is not maybe the best unit for walling off here, but shield battery overcharge will keep it going for now. And, you know, the char, you're not locked in here with me. Wait. The other way around. Alright, DRG has a time finishing up. Adrenal glands begin. Lurker range. +2 melee. Will be the extent of the upgrades. +3. Could start momentarily. He's starting another Evo. Yep. That's his Carapace Evo. And is... Okay, you know what? Triple upgrade. Sure, why not? Meanwhile, Astrea, he's in a better position than the previous match. But he has just kind of sat back and tucked himself into his base. Saying, oh my god! Templar, 48 kills! Oh my! Wow, that was one of the more devastating storms. Yes, the hero Templar. Wiping out 24 supply. I think it may have gotten some kills. No, I choose to believe all 48 were at that time. It is possible. A Baneling nest. DRG. It's like, what unit dies even quicker to storm than Zerglings? Banelings. Well, the Zealots are shredded by the upgraded Zerglings even before Adrenal Gland's done. Fleet beacon on the way. +1 air. A recall required onto the oracles as the lurkers just show up. Well, and in a very awkward position. The gateways kind of work against Astrea here. Thankfully, DRG going to help deal with that. Meanwhile, Zerglings. Where's the hero Templar? There he is. 86 energy. Enough for another storm. The Oracle... There's no Hydras here, so the Oracles can kind of just fight, I think. Yeah, the Hydras... Oh, this is a bit of an oversight. He's trying to... Well, Astrea doesn't want to lose the Nexus. Yeah, DRG realizes 50 kills on the High Templar. And counting. If we can get another storm off, we could be looking towards triple digits. It's been a while since I've seen a High Templar in triple digits outside of Bronze League heroes. Zerglings, let us in! Well, unfortunately that Adept said papers please, and the Zerglings were unable to present them because they don't have opposable thumbs, or hands, or paper. Well, the Immortal's finding a pretty good angle alongside the Archons, the Rocks. Oh, he doesn't go for the drop the Rocks on the Lurkers! Oh, what a perfect opportunity. But it crumbled before him. That definitely would have killed a couple lurkers. The army just falls apart. Eventually, the Hydras and the Lings buffed the lurkers enough. I assume the Hero Templar died with the army. And Astrea, yet again, finds himself pinned back to 4 bases. And he's lucky if that's the number at the end of it. Well, the lurkers are still slicing their way through. There was a fleet beacon somewhere, +1 air weapon somewhere, but the Hydras, the Lings, and the lurkers are just doing too damn much. DRG is up 70 supply. Deja vu. We've just been in this place before. And DRG just... He built a Bane nest and then built no Bane links. It's like the Spires from last game. Alright, you have it in case you need it, but let's hope you don't. It doesn't get that far. War Prism trying to do something, but at this point, DRG can put an army on either side of the map. A bit of a rough one. I see what Astrea is going for, but DRG's almost tunnel vision commitment to the tunnel vision units here in the lurkers seems like it's going to be the deciding factor. DRG found he has the units he likes, and he's leaning so heavily on them. I'm trying to match him on the ground, Astrea. Learning experience, but it's just not enough. There's a reason why carriers are the choice so much of the time in the end game, or even disruptors. Fighting conventionally against the Hydraling Lurker is a losing battle at best. +1 Carapace will complete, and that will spell the end. The deciding. More beautiful storms, killing dozens of Zerglings, and more Zerglings will be built immediately to refill the supply. Another devastating storm softens up almost every Hydra, but not nearly enough. And that means that DRG is going to be able to take it. 2-0, but I wasn't actually sure who won the series, and honestly, until DRG completely committed, but that means I have a bonus game lined up. And this one, I think you guys are going to like. It's not very long. It doesn't feature either of these two players, but it is Protoss versus Zerg. It tickled my particular fancy for some very, well, anyway, let's get into the game. I give you Sewer Badger versus Dark. Sewer Badger, playing here in the Korean StarCraft League, says it's an honor to Dark. Dark gives him the classic emote treatment, smiley face, thumbs up, which means, I assume, he understood enough of the English there, as many of the Korean players do. They just don't speak it particularly, or at least aren't confident speaking it. So, Sewer Badger, which I think an appropriate name for someone who signs up for this tournament with, you know, not the highest hope of winning, and then says it's an honor. Dark gives him a thumbs up, and then he cannon rushes him. Yep, it's a cannon rush. So, Senior Dark, the final boss, the cheeser. Well, not really the cheeser, but against your, well, maybe less intimidating players. Dark plays actually pretty stock standard usually, from what I've seen. I've perused a few of his games against less accomplished players, and he'll usually get like 50 drones and then do a roachling all in and win it 7 minutes. But that probe came in from a bit of an odd angle. Well, does he think so? As he expanded to the third, the probe actually blocked there anyway, so. But wait, let's go to the darkness cam. You may have noticed something. Wait, is Dark AFK? Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sorry, we're gonna go back. I need to know if Dark was like texting or something. No, he was selecting. But there was a distinct pause there for a few moments. He's selecting it. Oh my god. He's doing mineral micro. Yeah. Just hanging out, playing his game, sending out the ovies. This is the chill part of it. Oh yeah, he's definitely texting. There's nothing, he's not selecting. He's all tabbed on Discord or something. Yo, he has not moved his camera. He's not moved his selection. Meanwhile, Sewer Badger has been building cannons. Oh, and then suddenly at the ramp, a 3 pylon block. Dark actually gets the drone out, which is kind of a huge deal. But Sewer Badger has been lurking underneath. He doesn't care if you're texting his mom because he's busy building So the downside of this is he didn't cancel wood of the pylons. So if you don't cancel a pylon, well, also, is the spawning bull in range? Yeah, Dark got the drone out because it takes technically 3 cannon hits. And that means he's able to re-expand, but Dark is on the back foot here. As Sewer Badger, well, I have rarely met such an appropriately named player. I don't believe it's Florencio, but I'm sure there's some inspiration there. The probe didn't really have the imagination to realize Dark. Yeah, he didn't go to the other third base. There's some Ravagers on the way. And so, oh, is there vision? Can he select the base? He can select the pool, but no, it's not in range. So, he's just gonna keep cannon rushing him. Dark, with the Ravagers, is able to corrosive bile his way through and work on the cannons. Sewer Badger never realized another base had been built, and now he's hard-walled at home, but a hard wall isn't going to help very much against the cannons. Sewer Badger going to take the most obvious expansion, which is midway up the left side of the map. Like a normal 4th-ish base location. Brenda! Yes, he's a filthy cheeser. This is why we don't talk to people. Especially not Protoss. Protoss aren't people. Agreed. Well, the Ravagers working their way across. Now, a Stargate is on the way. I believe a Zealot came out. So far, Dark has actually managed to not lose a single unit. So, if you ever wondered how to defend a cannon rush, well, this has been quite a clinic. Gonna go straight through the Cyber Core. Sewer Badger a bit optimistic for how long he can hold his main here. Going to have a... What are we building? Yeah, the Ravagers have Void Ray in production. Chrono boosted. Dark now has enough Ravagers to... Yep, there goes the pylon. GG! And it just kind of ends. So, I thought... Yeah, I saw the name. I popped in. And honestly, all I saw was the fact his name was Sewer Badger. He complimented Dark and then he cannon rushed him. Which, yeah, that's a ladder Protoss right there. Oh, I bet Dark. You know, since he was clearly alt-tabbed, well, that's such a classic move, is the delayed cannon rush while you're alt-tabbed. Even Dark falls prey to it. Beautiful, filthy, disgusting cheese wrapping up our anti-spoiler bonus game. You guys have really seemed to enjoy them, so occasionally we'll keep adding them in. You'll never know if there's a bonus. All right, well, if you check, that's your own fault. It's not on me to keep you from checking. It's just to keep you from getting spoiled by the video length so easily. All right, so hopefully you appreciated that enough to like and subscribe. Going for 200k subscribers this year, and at this rate, it's going to be a big effort, but I think we can do it. And also, how many, Jimmy? 1,089 likes. And cast another series. Thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. See you next time. Stay tuned.